What's up, guys? Back for yet another best in slot guide here, this time for the priest. Now, the title is going to say 10 through 12. However, after gearing this and running it, I don't think it's beneficial to go all the way to level 12 on the priest. I saw it, I thought it was neat, I tried it out, and the only reason you would even want to go to 12 is for the talent Rhapsody, which stacks and increases the damage of your next Holy Nova. However, when you're running and boosting or soloing, you're spamming it constantly until you're at boss fights, and it doesn't get a chance to really stack, so I don't think it's worthwhile. You can get away with this at level 10, maybe level 11. You get Holy Nova at 10, so really no need. But it's up to you if you want to. So keep that in mind. During this video, this one is a level 12, but the gear remains the same across the board for 10 to 12. But let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so to go ahead and get this started, we're going to start off with the best in slot cloth helmet. Now, there's no specified helmet on this list. However, here's an example item that you can use that is currently available during the Time Walking Classic event. It is the Crimson Felt Hat. Drops as an eye level 64 for a level 12. But again, like I mentioned before, these things are going to show up as level 12 because I ran this as a level 12. But you'll probably want to do this as a level 10 or 11. But your option can be something different, really depending on what stat weights you're missing at the moment. But this is a good choice right here. Moving on to the shoulders, you have two options. So the first option is going to be Mana Etched Spalders. Now these drop off the last boss in the slave pens, and this would be my first choice because there's an additional item that you're going to get in this gear set that you're looking for that gives you a 2-set bonus for crit that goes along with this. Now for shoulders option number 2, it's going to be the Pursuing Terror Claw quests for the Horde or the Terror of Marshlight Lake for the Alliance. Just like in my previous guides, this can drop a green 2-socket shoulder, which can proc epic, but I have terrible luck in this, so good luck. For your best in slot chest piece, it's going to be Raiments of Divine Authority, which will drop a 3-socket chest piece off of Keladon the Breaker in the Blood Furnace. Now, for your best in slot hands, this is what I was mentioning earlier about a second piece to get the 2-set bonus. The Mana Etched Gloves, which drops off of Omor the Unscarred in Hellfire Ramparts. Now, for wrists, there wasn't anything specific that I would personally go for. I believe any Timewarped piece will work for you that's with the right stats on it. There are options in Tanan Jungle called the Fell Singed Wraps, but I personally don't like going there, so I didn't get those. For your belt, you're going to go for the Mind Fire Waistband, which drops off of Keladon the Breaker in the Blood Furnace. And for legs, you're going to go for the Life Giver Breeches, which drops off the final boss in Hellfire Ramparts, Vazrudin the Herald. I probably mispronounced that, though. Now, for both the feet and for your back piece, so you can see both of these images here. Probably should just merge those together. Anyways, for both of those, there was no specified piece for this. So timed warp pieces will both work for both the feet and the cloak. Now, moving on to weapons, I am going the route of one-hander and offhand, simply because the combination of one-hand, offhand, it will give you the highest amount of intellect, as well as those stats combined with enchants and the weapons themselves. So with your option here for one-handed weapons, both of these are going to be time-walking weapons that are available currently right now as of this recording in Classic Time-Walking. Cookie Stirring Rod and Buccaneer's Bludgeon. Both drop in Dead Mines. Just make sure if you're watching this later and the event's not here, you're not going to be able to get these at item level. For the level 12 that I'm on was 64, but it'll be slightly lower for level 10s or 11s. Your options will be slightly limited when a time walking event is not available. And just like the main hand weapon, the offhands are pretty much the same situation. Any Timewarped piece with the right stats on it will work. But here's an example one that I had at item level 64 for level 12 is the Tome of Knowledge. And again, this is available right now as of this recording was made in classic time walking. Any other time walking event that it changes to should have something relevant in it. If no time walking event is available, your options will obviously be severely limited to lower item level choices. I do want to add though, in the event that you're unable to get any of these for whatever reason, the event's not there or it just never dropped, if you have it, you can use the Hellscream's War Staff heirloom just to hold you over until you're able to get these. Now we're going to move on to jewelry. So for your best in slot neck, just like every other video I've had so far, it's going to be the Amnesia neck piece. This is my favorite. You're going to head to Azure Span in Dragonflight while time walking. So don't go there if you're not time walking, because it will not scale the mob and not scale the item. You're going to go there to where it's marked on the map there, and you're going to kill that rare mob. It stated that it was not 100%, but I'm going to be real with you. I've now killed it 3 times, and I've gotten it every single time. So take that with a grain of salt. Once you have it, you're going to either craft or purchase from the auction house the tiered medallion settings. There's going to be 2 of the 2 stars that you need and 1 of the 3 stars to be able to make this into a 3-socket neck piece. And for the rings, it is also pretty much the same across the board between all of the low-level twinks. So if you are a regular of my channel, feel free to skip this part. But I'm going to go over option 2, which is the Mechagon rings. This is still the best choice. However, it is a huge time sink in comparison to everything else. So I would opt for any time-warped ring for the time being to hold you over. And if it is available in Mythic Plus rotations allow, you can grab rings from those specific dungeons and upgrade. For example, the Necrotic Wake rings as of this being created. Now, I want to put a disclaimer on this because there was comments in my previous best in slot guides. When you are doing anything Shadowlands related, okay, so Necrotic Wake for the rings, you can skip the Maw part of the introduction quest lines. You cannot skip the introduction part of Ouroboros. I mean, technically you can. If you do, you may encounter item level issues with dropping loot in these dungeons. Please make sure that you have not skipped the Ouroboros starting quest chain. Do it all. I know it's monotonous and boring, going to talk to everybody in a circle, and you've probably done it 500 times back when Shadowlands was relevant. So you will need to do that to ensure that you do not have any item level issues with these ring drops in Shadowlands. This also goes for anything Shadowlands related, period. While we're on the topic of Shadowlands, the Trinket Infinitely Divisible Ooze is also located in Shadowlands. So the same rules apply with being able to get it to drop. Now, since you're on a priest for this guide, specifically, you will need to have your loot specs set to Shadow to have it drop. I got incredibly lucky and got it to drop the first time. I hope that all of you have the same luck. I know on my monk, it took quite a few times. I was about to lose my mind. Now, for second option, it's clearly going to be Balefire Branch. If you can't get it to drop, which I have as of this moment, still have not gotten it to drop, you have other options that you can use for the time being, placeholders, etc. But Balefire Branch, even at level 10, 11, and 12, does give 100 intellect as an on-use proc. That is amazing. So definitely want to go for that. Now, moving on to gems for all of your gear. To start off, you're going to, just like the other videos, start off with Shadowlands Gems. On the left side, you'll see the doublets. You're going to use 1 of each in your entire gear set. No more than that, just 1. They do not add more by adding more of those. You literally only need 1 of each. Now on the right side, you have the clusters. These scale down to only provide 2 of each stat. And you want to mix and match this in your gear until you hit 49% speed cap. When you have a set of gear that has, like, say 3 sockets in it, do not put, for example, for the sake of this video, 3 stacks of versatility. You want to go ahead and mix and match it instead. And the reason being is because if you did put all 3, the doublets would not register them and not increase its speed more than just 1. Not sure if that's intentional, a bug, or whatever. So instead do, for this character in particular, verse, crit, and haste. Mastery is useless, so avoid that. Now, once you're at 49% speed cap, you're going to stop using the Shadowlands Gems, and you're going to use these instead. You have an option between all these. I personally went the int verse route. That may not be the best route, but in my experience so far, I'm also on a level 12, which proved to be inefficient. So versatility worked. Will it work better as a level 10, 11? Possibly. Will trying to reach a haste plateau of sorts might work better? I'm not certain. That might be a different guide at a different time to explain other options of stat weights that you could possibly explore. But in the event that you do manage to go and get a meta gem helm, I did include that gem as well, the crit strike and stun resistance. And then you also have the option of getting the +4 intellect gems that can be purchased from accessory quartermasters in Stormwind and Orgrimmar for 1 mark of honor. Okay, so now for enchants. So we have the best in slot weapon and offhand enchants, which is going to be for your weapon, Machinist Brilliance. And then for your offhand, it's going to be Superior Intellect. Now for armor enchants, it almost looks exactly the same as the monk, because technically it is. They're both intellect builds at low levels, so pretty much the same. We're going to go with the minor speed on the boots. Cloak has haste. The bracers have mighty intellect. The gloves have superior haste. And the neck, as always, mark of the hidden state here. Now, I separated chest enchants from this because it's going to really differ depending on what level you stopped at. And like I said with this guide, I'm level 12. I don't recommend it, so I only gave these 2 options here, level 10 and an 11 plus. And the reason they're separated is because super stats only give that amount if you're at a level 11 or higher. It scales down to 3 on that one. And then level 10, you can do the versatility. Now, technically at level 10, you do have one that can give you +1 to all stats on the chest. I personally don't go for that though. And I also split up ring enchants here to give you options. You're basically going to go for the Accord of series of enchants for the rings. And I purposely left out mastery because mastery is trash for this build. So avoid mastery, and your options here are versatility, crit, or haste, whichever one you're really lacking, or if you're trying to stack one to experiment. Up to you. Now, I always go over these last few slides here on every guide, so if you are a regular of this channel, feel free to skip these. But for the profession-based enchants, you do have the option of all of these here. I personally use engineering and alchemy in most of my setups, but I have been told, and I've never experimented with it myself, that, for example, you can do the leg stuff with leatherworking, for example, and I would assume with tailoring as well, where you put it on there and then drop it, but the buff still stays. Can I say with certainty that it actually does work that way? I don't know, because I personally have not done it. You guys let me know in the comments if it does work. There's also the option of inscription for the shoulder enchant, but I have also not experimented with that either. Totally user preference on this part. And just a light talking point on alchemy here, since I always use this because it's fairly easy to just use, saves you a ton of money while trying to add some more stats. This gives you, and it scales obviously to your level, it scales to +4 of that stat you're looking for, the highest stat on that character. So in this case, for the priest, it would be intellect. It lasts for 2 hours, and it's permanent. Permanent by you craft it once, then you can continually reuse it. Here's the listed items that you'll need, and then the amount of them. You will need to level classic alchemy to 300 before you can craft it though, so do keep that in mind. And last but not least, Consumables. Now, these aren't absolutely needed to make you successful in your runs, but I always like to over prepare. So I'll always have swiftness potions. I'll always have some healing potions of sorts that work. I'll always have food buff. You don't need to go that far in min-maxing to really push it, but here's some options here, as you can see on the screen. Now, I don't have a slide for this, but I wanted to give you guys my personal thoughts on the class and the possibility of it being slightly better at level 10 and 11 with the scaling. And just as a disclaimer again, I did this at level 12. I would not recommend level 12. I want to try it just to kind of troubleshoot the Rhapsody talent and see if it was even worthwhile. Confirmed it's not. But in comparison so far with the other Twink classes, the Fury Warrior and the Monk, I think this, as far as like clear speeds on mob packs, it's less efficient obviously than the Warrior. Maybe a little less or close to the Monk, but when it comes to bosses, this thing nukes them, because once you encounter a boss, you swap from spamming Holy Nova to the Holy Fire and your dot damage, and then smite the crap out of it, and then it dies so quickly, let me tell you. Now, if you combine that with the slime trinket and going into lower level areas, you probably won't really notice the difference, because if you have the slime on the other Twinks, you're gonna really kill them the same speed. So ultimately, this is a fun class to play, but if you're looking for absolute efficiency, as of recording this, I'd say the Fury Warrior is faster and more efficient if you're looking for pure speed. But if you're looking for something fun and unique, yeah, the priest is good. It's not bad. It's just a little bit slower. So if you don't care about that, absolutely do this. And lastly, for the end of my video here, I do want to thank all of you. All right. I've noticed that the last two guides received a lot of comments, some feedback and options and choices. And I want to thank all of you for your continued support, your help, and these videos have definitely blown up more than my previous ones, at least in the short amount of time it's been out. So thank you guys. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you guys in all of my upcoming videos. I plan to pretty much go through each class and level combination of a Twink, level it. It may not be absolutely maxed out in gear, but I will provide you with that list of the maxed out gear that you can get, and I'll create a guide. So if you're looking forward to a new class, let me know which one, and maybe we can pick that one as the next guide. But until next time, guys, take it easy.